This is Dr. Rana P.K. Singh, a faculty member in the Department of Pali of Navnalanda Mahavihar and in charge head Department of Buddhist Studies Navnalanda Mahavihar. Today I am going to discuss about the nature of consciousness, about the consciousness in modern neuroscience, modern psychology, and other branches of mind sciences, and in Buddhist philosophy, particularly the Abhidhamma philosophy. Actually, consciousness is very mysterious thing. And the Buddha has opened each and every nuance, each and every aspects of consciousness. But first of all, I would talk about the nature of Indian knowledge system. The Indian knowledge system speaks about all aspects of scientific temperament. Whatever has been explained, whatever has been experiencing, whatever has been experimented in the modern times. Indian knowledge system, Indian scientific temperament is intuitive, it is experiential, and it is based on the contemplations. And Western knowledge system, particularly Western sciences, are based on experiments, and they wanted to show, prove through their activities, the experimental activities. The Indian seers have recorded in Indian scriptures the movement of planets, the movement of sun, the movement of earth, etc. The Ayurveda, the surgery, everything. All branches of sciences are available in India. But its nature, the nature of exhibition is quite different. But the result of Indian scientific system is same as in modern times, as the modern scientific system. The Buddhism is one of them. The stand of modern science about consciousness is quite different. It is considered as mysterious, not clear, and the Buddhist science is totally clear. They have clear concept regarding consciousness, regarding each and every aspect of consciousness. The modern scientist says about the consciousness is the prominent among the modern scientists is Jan Glean, agrees with John Sarley that mental phenomena are themselves features of the brain. Susan Greenfield contends that consciousness is an emergent property of non-specialized group of neurons that are continuously variable with respect to an epicenter. Rudolf Lindas holds that consciousness is a functional state of the brain, one of several global psychological computational states that the brain can generate. Michael Gazzaniga asserts that consciousness is a property of a neural network. John Sarley contends that my present state of consciousness is a feature of my brain. M.C. Ginn claims that the brain has some property which confer consciousness upon it and wonder that could make the brain uniquely the organ of consciousness. Many scientists as well as philosophers argue that at the moment we are almost completely in the dark about the nature of consciousness. despite all scientific advancement, they are still in dark. Consciousness is a fascinating but elusive phenomenon. It is impossible to specify what it is, what it does, or why it evolved. No one knows what consciousness is or whether it serves any purpose. Psychologists opine that consciousness remains a great mystery despite considerable advances in our knowledge of perceptual mechanism. In recent times, there is a greater interest to bring such a position of scrutiny. This interest has been favored by Buddhist narratives and case studies. Neuropsychiatrists share with the world. Documentation of medical cases, though, is a practice that exists since a very long time. And in recent times, the dialogue started between modern philosophy, modern neuroscience, modern psychology, and other branches of mind sciences with Buddhist psychology, Buddhist mind sciences. This is very important. And now, in many universities in the world, like Monash University in Australia, Naropa University in USA, and Mind and Life Institute in USA, and NIMHAS, National Institute of Mental Health. These institutions are working on Buddhist psychology and mind sciences. In NIMHAS, National Institute of Mental Health, is the only scientific institution where the sleep therapy lab is working on this aspect. Now, there is a question, and this is a very pertinent question in Western philosophy as well as in Indian philosophy also. The connection between brain, mind, and body is a big mystery. This is a big question. There are certain big questions like how do we perceive the world? What is the so-called mind-body connection? What determines our sexual identity? And what is consciousness? This is one aspect of question asked by modern sciences. And in Buddhist philosophy, in Buddhist science, the question is, what is suffering? Who is in suffering? What is the genesis of suffering? And how suffering can be eliminated? What should be the way to eliminate the suffering? So there are the two sets of questions in world knowledge system. So the way of searching the process of elimination is also different. One is experiential, one is meditative, one is intuitive, and another is experimental. Now, the very common thing between modern neuroscience and Buddhist psychology is the vision does not occur in eye. It occurs in brain. Our unique mental traits must have evolved from pre-existing brain structures. Here, the modern neuroscience and Buddhist psychology, the Buddhist neuroscience is common. They are sharing the common platform. Here, in Buddhist science, there is three aspects: the sense organs, the objects, and the related sense consciousness. We see the things through our particular consciousness. Suppose there is eye, there is visible object, and then the eye consciousness arises. So we see the things through eye consciousness. So here, there is a unique combination between the modern neuroscience, the modern neuropsychology, and the Buddhist science. The link between action and perception has become especially clear in the last decade with the discovery of new class of neurons in the frontal lobes called canonical neurons. Modern science also try to search The function of brain, which have already been explained by the Buddha in canonical literature, particularly in Sutta Pitak and Abhidhamma Pitak. Cognitive sciences is a child of 1950s, the product of a time when psychology, anthropology and linguistics were redefining themselves and computer science and neuroscience as disciplines were coming into existence. Today, the early stage of Jamesinian dream being realized, renowned Buddhist scholars have joined psychologists, cognitive scientists, and neuroscientists in integrating the methodologies of Buddhism to a specific discipline which, following Ellen Wallace, may be described as contemplative science. This was the stage of interface between Buddhism and cognitive science. The cognitive revolution in science and Buddhism has gone through several phases. The emergence of cognitive psychology in 1960s was the first step towards the scientific study of consciousness. The relevance of new interdisciplinary science for a dialogue between Buddhism and cognitive sciences was articulated by scientists of the caliber of Francisco Varela, and this line of thinking appeared to be a revival of interest in the insights of William James. While the scientific study of consciousness achieved legitimacy, there were a few obstacles to the extending of the interest to the development of Buddhist psychology. It took some time for Buddhist scholarship to break away from traditional scholasticism, and Francisco Varela was a pioneer who established Buddhist psychology in the world. Varela emphasized the point that Buddhism can potentially have an influence on modern science at the research level. In epistemological foundations of some of the sciences such as physics, the life sciences that have developed over the years. In modern times, many efforts have been made to study Buddhism and cognitive science, and they have a special focus on the study of mind, cognitive emotions, cognitions, emotions, or effort, and specify a new frontiers of neuroscience such as affective neurosciences. The meeting ground of science and Buddhism provide a background to the resurgence of interest in Buddhist psychology. The experientially based technology, meditation, has generated the use of mindfulness as a therapeutic tool, and its impact on mental and physical well-being is of current interest and research. Thus, it has become important to explore the study of consciousness in the Buddhist meditative tradition, and this study over the years, along with the interest among some neuroscientists, culminated in the groundbreaking discovery of the concept of neuroplasticity by Richard Davidson and discussion of its relevance to Buddhist psychology. The Mindful Brain by Daniel J. Siegel indicate that mindful awareness has been scientifically proved to enhance our physical, mental, and social well-being. Ivan Thompson observes that contemplative mental training and critical phenomenological and philosophical analysis of mind form the core form the cornerstone of Buddhist practice, and it may be considered more as repository of contemplative and phenomenological expertise rather than being just an object of scientific study. So, there is a dialogue between Buddhism and modern science started in 1970s in India. But before that, the two books came into existence. Two books were written, one by Mrs. Rice Davids, The Buddhist Psychology, and another The Psychology of Nirvana. So these two books started interface between modern science and Buddhist science. The Buddhist science is very scientific. The definition, the understanding of personality in Buddhist science, the understanding of consciousness in Buddhist science, and understanding of consciousness in modern science, whatever has taken place in modern times, is equal. Both have an equal conception regarding the nature of consciousness. The human personality, there are many models of understanding human personality in Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist sciences. Here, the human personality can be understood through 2 points. One is Nam, that is non-material aspect of human personality, and Roop, that is material aspect of human personality. But the Roop is also, it's not a material aspect of human personality. It is concentration of Nam, it is concentration of energy according to the modern science. So the Nam, the psychological aspect, is very important, and psychological personality, non-material personality, is the driving force of whole life. And our life is directed by the karma. So the karmic factor influences our mind, our consciousness, and our DNA. The next thing, another thing is the 5 aggregates of human personality. 5 aggregates, that is material aggregate, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. So the whole structure of Buddhist mind science is based on consciousness and is based on the non-material aspects of human personality. The whole Buddhist science is for the well-being of the whole world, to understand the mental activity of human personality, the karmic activity of human personality, and how to correct, how to control the negative and immoral karmic activities in our life. And we have to achieve the final goal, that is the bliss, that is the nirvana of individual, the nirvana of society, nirvana of nation, and nirvana to the whole world. Thank you.